I'd like to go ahead and welcome you again to the information call for Partners in Policymaking. Again, my name is Andy Culp. I'm the Executive Director of the ARC Maryland. And I'd like to thank our partners on this initiative, the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Council, Stephanie Dollimer is here, and People on the Go of Maryland. And I know we have James here, and I think Matt was going to be joining us. But right now, I'd like to invite our partners to say a few words. So, Stephanie, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you so much, Andy. And it's nice to see so many people here for this information call. I'm Stephanie Dollimore. I'm with the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Council, and we're one of the lucky organizations that gets to partner on this really wonderful program. And we look forward to supporting the program every year. The DD Council is one of the organizations that funds this program. And so as the funder, we get to read over all of the great accomplishments, and our council members, which we have, the DD Council is led by people with developmental disabilities and their family members. They decide every year, after looking over those accomplishments, whether or not to fund this program again. And every year they get really excited by all the many accomplishments of this program and all the ways that the people who go through this program go on to do many great things. And so this program is really important to the work of the DD Council and means a lot to our council members. And so they look forward to funding it every year, but also seeing what grows and changes through this program. So I'm excited to be here and learn to support and answer any questions you all might have. But just briefly, the DD Council is a public policy organization. So we do advocacy for people with developmental disabilities. And we do that in two ways. We do public policy work. So we work in Annapolis, and we do work around the state with different state agencies and organizations to create change to make it possible for people with developmental disabilities and their family members to live the lives they want with the support they need. And the other thing we do is we get money from the federal government that we get to give away in grants. And one of the ways that we do that, for example, is to give grants to organizations like the ARC Maryland to run this wonderful program, Partners in Policymaking. So that's a little bit about the DD Council. I won't take too much time because I know you're not here to actually listen to me, but to hear more about this program. But I can't say enough great things about this program and the wonderful people who organize it. So that's all I got to say tonight.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. James or Matt, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Rice. I'm the Executive Director of People on the Go of Maryland. We are the statewide self-advocacy organization ran for and by those with intellectual and or developmental disabilities. And just like the DD Council, as well as the ARC Maryland, we advocate during the 90-day legislative session. Many of our members sit on various statewide committees, and our goal is to really make sure that as much as possible, people with disabilities have a voice in shaping public policy, because we know from a historical perspective that when we have not been involved in shaping public policy, decisions are made, and they're not always made in the best interest of people with disabilities or those who happen to be our friends and allies. So we love Partners in Policymaking because so many of our members, our board members and general members, have gone through the program. They see the value in it. My good friend and mentor, Mr. Ken Capone, who is responsible for the Ken Capone Equal Employment Act, which abolished subminimum wage payment to people with disabilities in the state, is a graduate of Partners in Policymaking. So we look forward to this journey every year, and we're here for you, and we welcome you.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt. So next, I'd like to recognize our team at the ARC Maryland who are present on this call. First, Natalie Donor. She's the Director of Education Initiatives and Partnerships. and she oversees the Empowering Partners component of the program. And Connie Nepomuceno, who graduated from the Partners in Policymaking program in 2020, and who is also the project lead for the ARC for Maryland Partners in Policymaking program, and I'm her co-pilot. So that's the main team that works on this program. Just to give you a little overview of what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about the history and importance of the program, the commitment that a person makes to be a part of it. We will highlight the work of some who have completed the series, the training series known as Partners in Policymaking, and what they're doing now. We'll talk about the program schedule and some accommodations that might be available to you, and provide some questions and answers. So when we've done this over the years, there are some questions that come up. So we kind of do a little prepared Q&A, but then we'll give you the opportunity to ask any questions that we did not already answer. So getting right into it, some general information about the program. First, what is Maryland Partners in Policymaking? Well, Partners is an innovative, competency-based leadership training program that's intended for adults with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities, and caregivers, typically parents, or siblings or grandparents, of course, with of people with IDD. So when the program was first developed, it was geared toward parents of young children. And while parents of young children remain a critical subgroup of the class participation, in Maryland, we expanded our membership to allow parents of adults and other primary caregivers to take part. And that's because there was about a 10-year gap in Maryland where we didn't have Partners in Policymaking in the state. And so we're giving people the opportunity who missed it during that 10-year period to take part in the class, just like everybody else. We also believe that the diverse experiences and perspectives of people who have these relationships have enriched the program significantly. And so that's how we will be recruiting for participants this year. The next slide. I'd like to provide some background on the Maryland Partners in Policymaking program next. So if you aren't familiar with kind of how this was developed, it's been around for a pretty long time. It was developed in the 1980s in Minnesota as a leadership training program rooted in addressing the issues faced by people with IDD and their families. And it's been updated and modernized since that time to remain ever relevant for today's world and needs. In Maryland, since the beginning of the initiative here, we have graduated close to 480 partners who have gone on to serve in government, work on commissions, support their local special education citizens advisory councils, also known as CCACs, create their own nonprofits or consulting services to help families. Some have gone on to start podcasts or online support groups, or just be incredible advocates and advocacy leaders on local, state, and national levels. The goal of Partners in Policymaking is to educate participants on how to best make change and to develop positive relationships with those who make policy, to become true partners in the policy that is made locally, statewide, and nationally, to influence positive changes for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. Next, we're going to talk about the program commitment. So to ensure broad access to Maryland Partners in Policymaking opportunity, we have designed the class to include a mixture of online or Zoom classes and in-person training opportunities. And we've structured each engagement to be highly interactive and informative with subject matter expert presenters and facilitators from Maryland and beyond, and even internationally. Our first class this year will be a 2-day in-person orientation and session on leadership essentials and the history of disability policy. The session will be held at our training center located in Columbia, Maryland. And those dates for your calendar, if you want to hold them now, are Saturday, October 19th from 1 to 5 and Sunday, October 20th from 11 to 6. Following the opening retreat, the partners session will be held monthly through the 10-month series, mainly in person with a few virtual opportunities sprinkled throughout, culminating in a graduation on August 15th, 2025. Throughout the series, the class participants will learn how to become stronger, better equipped advocates, understand policy and state level political processes, obtain knowledge to help yourself, your loved ones, and others to make a difference in their home communities, and build relationships and create a future network for effective change. Some of the most important topics that former classmates have shared that they felt were really meaningful to them are topics like disability rights, futures planning and available supports, increasing inclusion in all aspects of daily life, public benefits and supports, inclusion and belonging in kindergarten through 12th grade, equity in healthcare, employment, housing, community living, disability funding, Social Security, voting, our legal system, and education, just to name a few areas, and early childhood intervention. On the next slide, so now we're going to get into some FAQs for you. The first question is there a specific philosophical point of view that speakers and presenters will share? And the answer to that is that the basic philosophy is self-determination. Best practices, current philosophy, and policy are going to depend on the speaker's perspectives and the movement or policy that's being presented. The next question is, who is eligible to apply for the program? Eligible applicants include adult advocates with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities, and adult family members of people with IDD, including siblings and grandparents of persons with IDD. To be considered for the program, you must be over the age of 18 and a resident of the state of Maryland. The next question is, what are the criteria that you look for in self-advocates? We look for people that are primarily just invested in making a change, not only in their own life, but in the lives of all people with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities. In the past, we've had parents from all walks of life and people with a variety of differing abilities that have been involved in the program. So you just need to have an interest and passion for advocacy and for making positive change with and for people who have disabilities. The next question is, when I click the link to apply, it takes me to a website that says Google Forms. So what the screen is showing you right now is a snapshot of what that Google form looks like when you click our link. And once again, this year, we're using a program called Google Forms for the Maryland Partners in Policymaking application. Please let us know if you're having any difficulty accessing this application or filling it out, because we don't want this to be a barrier to anyone to be able to make their application. You can contact Connie Necamosino or me, Andy Call, if you'd like assistance completing your application, and Connie's going to put our contact information in the chat. We want to ensure equitable access to the application process for everyone. So again, reach out if you're having any difficulty or if you need the application in a different format than what we are currently offering. We are also putting a link in the chat to the application, and there's a QR code on, or there was, I think, Connie, we might have lost your share up. Okay, she's having some technical difficulties, so we'll make sure we pull that up when we can. And like I said, we're going to be sending the presentation out to you all. But there's a QR code on there, and if anybody wants to access the application, you can hold your phone up to the QR code, and typically when you do that, another bubble will pop up, which is a link to the application. So there's a couple ways to get to the application. So please share this application far and wide with anyone you think might be interested in applying. Okay, so the next question is, I have already filled out the application. When will I hear something? We will be in touch with everyone who applies to be a part of the program. We'll reach out individually via email after the application closes on August 31st, or earlier if we have questions about an answer that you provided on your application. Once the selection committee reviews all of the applications and finalizes their decisions, we will promptly reach out to all the applicants between Monday, September 16th and Friday, September 20th, 2024. To let them know if they'll be invited to be a part of the 2024-2025 Partners in Policymaking cohort. So big important deadlines to remember are that the applications are due August 31st, and we will reach out to people with our decisions between Monday, September 16th and Friday, September 20th. The next question is, how many people are you looking to enroll in the class? We have a goal of enrolling at least 30 partners, but we are going to be planning on over enrolling the class, and that's because during the year we do have some natural attrition because life happens. You have every intention of completing a year-long training, and then something comes up, and we just want to at the end have at least 30 people that are going through the graduation for this opportunity. And this number includes people with disabilities and their family members from around the state to ensure active engagement in the class and the development of lifelong connections. On slide 10 and 11 is the rest of our program schedule. How important is it to be able to attend every session of the program that we are offering? Attending every session of the program is incredibly important. And on the screen, you can see that we've listed the schedule for the program. And it's also available on our website, and Connie will include the website link in the chat. If you are, we are looking for class members with a dedication to taking full advantage of the investment in them that we are making and an intention to attend all sessions. We have designed the sessions to make sure that you get frequent breaks, and we will consider accommodations that people may request to enhance their fullest experience with partners. And of course, like I said, even with the best intentions, life may happen, and this may impact your ability to take a class. If and when that happens, we will do our best to accommodate you to obtain missed material. What matters is that you come to the process fully intending to attend 100% of the classes. Because being a partner is based on a person having achieved certain competencies, so that's you have gathered the certain information and you've been able to demonstrate certain skills. And we want you to be able to do that by the end of the program. So participants with frequent absences, unfortunately, will not be able to graduate from the program. The next question is, what are some accommodations that might be available to me? We expect that many of our applicants will have what they need to participate in the Maryland Partners in Policymaking program, but there may be participants who need additional assistance or accommodations for a disability or a hearing impairment, for example. They may need technology for participation, respite care for a loved one during class time that's not already provided under a state or federal program. People might need adapted transportation to in-person classes, large print or materials printed on non-glare paper, and other supports to participate. So if you have a need for an accommodation, please indicate that on your application form so we can be in touch. The next question is, how much does it cost to be a part of the Partners in Policymaking program? And this is one of the best parts, because we count your time in class, in travel, and outside of class, working on partners material as your contribution. Your time has value, and that is what we are going to take as payment. The Maryland Partners in Policymaking program is free for participants. The ARC Maryland and the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Council have, however, estimated that each spot in the program is valued at close to $6,000. Being a part of the Maryland Partners in Policymaking program is like a scholarship opportunity. Class members are chosen because of the potential seen in them to be lifelong advocates of change for people with developmental disabilities and their families. Next slide is, who can I contact for more information about Partners in Policymaking? We are going to be adding our contact information to the chat. But the two people that you can contact right now are Connie Nepomuceno or me, Andy Culp. You can also check out the 16 stories about partners sparking change for Marylanders with developmental disabilities to give you a sense of what people have learned through the program and how they value it and what contributions they've made since graduating. So hopefully reading these stories and going through these resources will help you make your decision about whether or not Partners is right for you. So that's all I have for my presentation. I'd like to now take any questions that we have from the audience. So if anyone has any questions, please, raise your hand, unmute. I'd love to hear from you.
I saw one on the chat, Andy. Someone was wondering how many applications we usually receive. And I mentioned last year we received 65 applications.
Yep. Crystal, I saw your hand up. Did you have a question?
Yes, I put it in the chat, but I am a special educator in Howard County Public Schools. I'm also a parent of a student with autism. So I really am interested in this program and wanted to commit to completing it. And looking at the dates that the program is offered, has there been ways that teachers can use absent reason being professional development for this? Because this also is something good for my field of study.
Yeah, Connie, you've worked with some people that are in the education field before. I know we've written letters to school administrators to explain what the program is and ask, it's like a letter of support to ask them for their flexibility. And Connie, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. We did have like paraeducators and teachers. Comes to my mind from MCPS, from Montgomery County Public Schools, and we have provided letters for the school district to consider the program as part of professional development, and also so the participants don't have to use their personal time off or sick leave to participate in the program, and it has been very effective. And we have used that letter also as a model for anybody who has a part-time job or a full-time job, or through also like if they're in school, part-time or full-time as well. So yeah.
I was not going to apply because of the dates and the times. So I'm glad to hear that you would offer a letter of support for the absences, because I can't afford to use my personal leave for anything other than my son. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Beverly, I see your hand up.
Yes, good evening. I have a question about the application process. I had one of my reference ask me when would someone contact them about the application. I told her I really don't know, but I will pose the question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a fabulous question. I'm glad you asked that because I didn't cover it. We are going to be contacting people as we start receiving the applications. You can imagine what work it takes to kind of go through these to give everybody the fullest consideration. So we will be starting to contact references to get more information about each of the candidates, shortly after we receive the application. So we haven't started yet. Some people have already applied, but I would say probably starting in August, we're going to be reaching out to people on those applications and starting to collect that additional information that we need. Thanks for asking that. Leslie, did you have a question?
It was just about the dates. I'm good. Thanks. They're in the chat.
Oh, okay, great. Anyone else?
Hello, I have a question.
Okay.
It's in general about how to increase the chance of being selected in the application process. I submitted mine already, but since I haven't done any advocacy work before, I didn't list any reference. So I want to ask, would that reduce my chance of being selected? And also, for people like me, who would you recommend I put down as reference if that's a preferred information?
I think it would be important if you could just reach out to, could be a school community to get a reference, or neighbors who know you well, someone who can kind of attest to your passion and your commitment. You know, you may be a volunteer somewhere, so you showed commitment there, or if you were, you know, getting a letter from a boss. There's a variety of people, I hope, in your circle that you can reach out to. It doesn't have to necessarily be a professional reference. It can just be someone that can attest to your character and passion for advocacy work.
Oh,
And
I
I think that would help your application.
Okay. Then if I want to provide that additional information, how can I do that?
Go ahead and email Connie directly, since you've already submitted your application, and in the subject line, put your name and put Partners in Policymaking application additional information or something to let us know that this needs to go with your application.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Great.
And I have another related question.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the email. Thank you. So, I have a mother of two autistic boys, so my free time are 100% spent on looking after them. So under accommodation, I wrote I would need respite stipend to help me make time for this program. I know that might mean extra funding needed. Would that reduce my chance of being selected?
Not at all. We have funded respite that people have needed for their participation in the past. And so that's something that we're used to help facilitate a parent's participation in the class.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. That's all my questions.
Great. Thank you for your questions.
Yes, and I was just going to add, if you're selected to join the program, it's something that we will work together one-on-one just to gather more information about how can we support you better for you to participate in the program. But I want to encourage everybody, the more information you share in your application, the better we'll get to know you and get a sense of who you are. So please don't forget to include as much information as possible.
Yeah, and another question that you had asked that I'm sorry I missed it was how do we select people for the program? I mean, we're looking for a diverse group of people that can learn from each other and grow with each other. So you know, from across the state. So that's our basic criteria. We want a nice, deep, diverse group of people in this class. Is there anyone else? And if you think of any questions that didn't come to you during this call, please reach out to Connie or I, and we'll just update our FAQs on the website, because your question could benefit other people. So please don't be shy and reach out. So that's all I have for tonight. I think we'll go ahead and end this information call now, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Bye now.